Hello, hello. I think I'm live. Let me know in the comments section if you can hear me okay. Been having a few problems with my mic today. It keeps disconnecting. So let me know if you can hear me okay. I can see loads of people in the chat already. This is crazy. Just let you know how the order of today is going to go. So basically, for the first half an hour, I'm just going to say hello to you guys, take a few questions, and then in about half an hour, I'm going to get some guests on. So we've got John Miko from the Vintage Collection Facebook group. He's going to be joining me, and also after that, we're going to be joined by a couple of guys from the SWTVC Instagram group. Tyler and Evan are going to be joining me. So we're going to be talking all things vintage collection, the state of the vintage collection, or the current state of the vintage collection, how it's going, and what we think of it at the moment, and also where we want it to go into in the future. And I also want to get their opinions on Andor as well. I haven't really talked to many people about Andor and how they feel about that show, so that'll be pretty cool as well. Just can somebody let me know in the comments that you can hear me okay? Yeah, I'm sure you can. Somebody would have said something already. Right, I'm just going to say hello to some people because there's loads of people in the chat already. Star Wars Rue, Gary Dickens, Varpal, Norman F. Diaz couldn't be here, but he's going to watch it on the rerun. Des T, Rob Chewbacca, Gary Moore, Kevin Delaney, Just Capster, Shredder Coruscant. Oh, good to see you, man. I haven't seen you for a while. What you been up to? Rob Chewbacca, Bill Polk, Jedi Berry, Mando Brunt, Adam Berry. Good to see you, Echo, buddy. Good old chat. Jeff Russell, Cody Honey. Have these always been live? No, this is just live this week because it's 150 episodes. I did it the same on episode 100. So I don't know. It's just a little way of sort of commemorating that thing. Paul Morales, John Miko. How you doing, mate? We'll talk to you in a bit, man. Trenton Dodson. How you doing, my friend? Brett on Fett. I believe you might be on the way back from somewhere driving, and you've got your wife to drive so you can watch. So appreciate that, buddy. That's dedication for you. Dan Tueen, Paul Morales, Zero Hunter Toys. How you doing, Matt? Phil the Force. John, the action figure grader. How you doing, buddy? Swammy 1977. Happy Creations, Jonas Z. Wow. Rob Chewbacca, Peak, Obi-Wan, Darth Dano, Daniel Chart. How you doing, friend? How you doing, buddy? Hope you're well. Stephen Taylor, Cogmotion, Steve Martin, Fetmatic. How you doing? Locked Gorgon. Toys of the Way. How you doing, my friend? Riley Bob, Jeff Russell, Martin Footer. Oh, you did make it, Martin. I couldn't remember. I think you're on Instagram as the guy that I think you are, where you said you might not be able to make it. So I'm glad you made it, buddy. Hyperspace Case, Scott Layton. You're from the TVC group, the UK TVC group on Facebook. Diego Sandoval, Rob Ernest, Gary Wallace. How you doing, Gary? Silent Droid. Wow. Red 5. This is just going crazy. Chris Curran, thanks for the super chat already. Thank you, mate. I really do appreciate that. Congratulations on 150 and can't wait for 300. Yeah, I was talking to this about the episodes to my son. He said, "Are you doing 100? Have you done 150 of them?" And I said, "Yeah." So that's like nearly 3 years because it's once a week, obviously, 52 weeks in a year. Because he said, "Oh, do you ever think you'll ever do 300?" And I said, "Well, that's another 3 years, isn't it?" And I'm not moaning or anything, but they, these Ask Bossk videos on a Sunday, I've quite enjoyed it today because I haven't actually had to do the video because I'm doing it live instead. Because it does take a bit of time to do, but I love it. I absolutely love it. I wouldn't change it. It's great. I love speaking to you guys. So Tim Matos, how you doing? Jonathan Mora, Dystopian Playgrounds, Cisco Deer, Octolux, so many, like all of these names you're so familiar to me. You always comment on my videos, which is you know, I really do appreciate that, so thank you. Action figure grader. Cheers, buddy. I'll pay you back later. Let's have a look. Chief Chirper, Ryan Byrne, good to see you live again. Love Sundays with you. Oh, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate that. Yeah, Daniel Chart, absolutely. Straight across, and where has he been? Yeah, absolutely. I haven't seen him in a while. I think I saw him in someone else's live chat, live stream in the chat. I think it was John's the other night, actually. But yeah, I haven't seen him do a video in ages, man. You should, you know, get those videos going again. All right, so for the next 20 minutes or so, yeah, just fire away any questions that you've got that you want to sort of talk about, any sort of comments that you just want to make, and we can bring them up on screen and what have you. Somebody asked a question before I went live, actually. See if I can come back to that. Realistically, when do you think there will be a TVC Chrysanthemum and maybe retool him to make a Tarful? So I messed up about this a while ago. I said, oh, he's been pipelined already, but I don't think he has. But that might give you an idea of, I think it's safe to say that Black Chrysanthemum will be coming at some stage. I would imagine he'll be one of those like deluxe figures because he's going to be quite big. Yeah, and then if they can reuse, you know, whenever they do a new tooling, they've got to use it for other things to make their money back on it. So they won't just leave it at one figure, and hopefully they don't start, you know, doing Halloween figures in the vintage collection. I'm not into all that sort of thing, you know, Chewy with funny ears and stuff. I'm not really into that. Just wanted to keep it to the proper figures, you know what I mean? But yeah, I actually messed up. I thought he had already been pipelined. It's like Cad Bane. Has he been pipelined already? I can't really remember. I've lost track completely of who's been pipelined and who hasn't. Riley Bob, thanks, mate. Thanks, BB, for holding Hasbro accountable on Q&A. Yeah, we're going to get into that when John Miko and the lads come on later about the aftermath of those QAs, or Q&As rather, because the one I was in, you know, I was in there with Chris from Banter Skull, and I think you can pretty much tell that, you know, neither of us are too happy with the situation at the moment. And it all stems from Andor, really, and the fact that the Black Series has got so many more figures in the vintage collection. And, you know, we're not saying take anything away from the Black Series. We'd never say that. Because obviously, you know, a lot of people collect both. So, but it's just about just getting that balance, you know, a bit better. You know, just giving us. I don't really think there's any point in releasing 2 Andor figures. Why do that? It's just, I don't really see the point in it. You might as well just use that tooling budget on something else. If you're only going to release 2. And again with Obi-Wan as well. How many have we got from Obi-Wan? 2 or 3, and then that 3-pack coming. And that's it. You know, how long is it going to take for them to give us more from those shows? So, 3PO Concepts. What do you think about the idea of TVC figures with modern super articulation but retro Kenner colors? Yeah, I think that's something that they could do as like a quirky thing. I would much prefer that than the retro collection ones that we've got. I wouldn't want them in like those Skittles colors, but absolutely, yeah, like, you know, I think the obvious one's Fett, isn't it? They could definitely use that Return of the Jedi Fett, like they've done with the droids colors, and do them as the Kenner colors. I wouldn't put it past them to do that, to be honest. I'm sure that sort of thing is on their mind. Seth Waldrop, Count Dooku is greatly needed in TVC. Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with you for that. So, and for me, starting snail pace, I struggled for the first 3 episodes, but the last 3 had been ace. Yeah, it is a slow burner. There's no 2 ways about it. Andor is a slow burner, but I think that's quite good. It's really fleshed out those characters, and then the payoff, you know, it's a proper payoff then, isn't it? Rob Chewbacca, question, Tim, how do you feel about Hasbro releasing the cloth cape with the rescue set for the Mandalorian when it's supposed to be basically exclusive to the Haslab? Yeah, yeah, they did make a big deal of that, didn't they? With, you know, exclusive soft goods cape or whatever. But I think the one that we're getting in that rescue set is different. The figure's different again, so it's like full on season 2, the Mandalorian. So I don't know. I, I I mean, I think they should just go the whole hog now and just give it, you know, in the main line, because obviously, you know, keeping that sort of thing exclusive to other sets, I don't think really that's fair anyway. So, because not everyone can afford a rescue set, or wants the rescue set, and not everybody can afford the Razor Crest either. So, um, let's have a look. Um, Curious to see the 2023 deluxe figures. Paz Vizsla has been pipelined. Excited for him. Yeah, he's been pipelined, isn't it? I'm sure there'll be others, you know. Chris Rooks, I recently got the Boba Fett Morak TVC. My question, which do you prefer, the deluxe or the Morak? Yeah. That's difficult. That's difficult. I'd probably say the Morak one, because that's in a show that I prefer. The Book of Boba Fett, I didn't really like it that much. It was okay. No, I think I prefer the Morak one, and also it's on that awesome card as well. That's one of the best card backs. That it's really nice. Let's see what else we've got here. Do you think the value is comprised when vintage items are restored through different processes or not? Referencing vintage plastic vehicles. Oh, I see what you mean. When the people like use hydro type thing to whiten them up and things like that. Well, I don't think it's my opinion. I think the value is compromised or whatever, because people like Facebook groups or whatever, certain groups frown on it or don't allow it or whatever. I mean, me personally, I it's not something that I don't really mind that particularly, but I think, the people out there that collect all this stuff have these rules and what have you. But I guess you could put it on eBay and maybe no one would even know. So I guess that's for people that want 100% vintage, not compromised in anything. Then that's maybe the safety of those. That's why those Facebook groups are safe places for that sort of thing. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, if you're on, hit the like button. If you're on, please hit the like button, and that really appreciate that. Will we be getting Republic Commando figures? It's not something that I've heard of for next year. But what I would say is that if you look at the gaming greats, if you look at it compared to the Black Series, there's kind of a theme going on there, isn't there? They're kind of quite similar. We've got similar figures, and I would say that once that Hunter comes out, maybe they'll do the same like they did with the Black Series and use that. I haven't really looked at the Hunter figure close enough versus a Republic Commando to work out whether it could be used or not. I mean, some people don't like the fact they've done it in the Black Series. They don't think it's accurate enough, but other people are like, well, at least I've got Delta Squad now, whatever sort of thing. So you can't please everyone, can you? Tony Stark, been saving this one up, BB. Rough guess, what's the longest time you spent posing a figure, and any ideas which one it was? I don't know. Sometimes straight out of the packet, they do cause a lot of problems because they're often quite stiff. The joints are quite stiff. So I'd say one of the ones that I have had trouble with is the new Boba Fett, the Return of the Jedi Boba Fett. He does lean back. He's quite difficult to get into a pose where he actually stands up without a stand. I try and set my figures up without stands if I possibly can, and the rocker ankles and things like that do help with that. But yeah, that one's the weight with his jetpack does cause a little bit of a problem with that figure. I do apologize. I've got a bit of cold as well. I think the lurgy is doing the rounds again. I don't think I've got that though, but just a bit of a cold. Cheers, buddy. Thank you. Cheers, Justin. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. Has Hasbro ever mentioned if Shop Disney hold rights to droids before them? Since it seems they get. If I asked this on the Q&A, and they said no, they can release them as well. I think it's just a case of like when they're having those meetings, it's like, well, if you're releasing that, then we won't essentially yet. Maybe they will in the future because you're giving the consumer sort of two places to buy them, and one of them's going to sort of lose out maybe, or the sales are going to be split between two camps. I'm sure Lucasfilm don't really care because all the licensing money goes to them through whichever avenue. So, but no, they said that there is no reason why, for example, they could not make a Ned B in the vintage collection because that one in the Droid Factory exists. Because that was definitely something I was curious about as well. 164 in the chat, 11 likes. Yeah, cheers, Gary. Yeah, hit that like button. Yeah. Cheers, Owen. Appreciate that, buddy. Now, is there I think I've missed a super chat here. I know I haven't. Here it is. I found it. Arnoud Verschure. Thank you. Thank you, mate. You haven't made a comment, but I appreciate the support. Really do. Thank you. And I can see another one as well. Riley Bob. How badly does TVC need an archive series like the Black Series? Well, they've already kind of got it, really, haven't they? They do those reissues, those reissue waves. Would you want them in different packaging so it doesn't affect the value of the original? I think we talked about this on John's stream the other night that they need to do something, I think, to, especially with ones that the figure can change, the packaging can really change, like Starkiller, for example. Why bring that out on a expanded universe card again when you can use the Force Unleashed? He's from that game, so use that card back. But I think Phil the Force asked Hasbro the question at one, I think it was Celebration, and they said no, it's just going to be a straight reissue. So that's disappointing, isn't it? You want to, come on, put some effort into it, Hasbro. Jesus. Ted B. Ted B. Ned B. Yeah, is junk. Yeah, he's not great, is he? Yeah, exactly. It's no substitution, really. But I think, like, when somebody, if that option's there and it's not in the vintage collection, then people are going to go for that one just because that's what there is and that's all there is, sort of thing. Question: what could you realistically seeing being Haslab going forward? Oh man, I really don't know. What I hope they don't do is that N1 Starfighter that Jason rumored ages ago. We still haven't had that revealed. If that ends up being a Haslab, I'll be really disappointed. And if it is, how much is it going to be? Like, that's just got to be a normal release for me, that one. So I really hope it's not that. As I've said before, like Haslab's, like, the barge, like, when Haslab first came around in the UK, we weren't even allowed to back it. We couldn't back it. And, myself included, so many people in the UK wanted that. And, whether we liked the idea of Haslab or not, we weren't able to back it. And that's a real shame. And then the Razor Crest was the first time that we could. So, of course, we're all going to go, right, let's go in for the Razor Crest because we really want it. But as they go on and you see all the mistakes they're making with these Haslabs, it makes you feel like, do you know what I mean? What's going to be next and how good's it going to be? And then what is the price tag going to be? If you're thinking about a Sandcrawler, it'll be massive, wouldn't it? How much would they charge for that? It worries me. It really does. JD, thanks for the super chat, buddy. Have you heard anything on Chirper or Squidhead? No, but I would hope for, like, if they're going to be doing all those Jabba's goons, right, those reissues, then you've got to sort of wonder whether they're going to be giving us a new, like, one we haven't got to go with them. I would hope that they do that. And Squidhead has always been, like, right at the top of my list of ones that I want personally. So let's keep our fingers crossed for him. Chirper would be a good one as well, because obviously they're doing the bunker set and the speeder bike and things like that. So yeah, we need Chirper, don't we? we need lots of things, and this is what we're going to be talking about with John and the guys coming up soon. But there's 208. I can't believe 218 people are watching. This is just madness. Thank you so much. Cheers, Rocket City. You're a good guy, man. Top man. Yeah, the Bars debacle still hurts. It does, because like I wanted that thing, and then when they announced the yak face on card, and I was like a carded collector, loose collector as well, but carded. You're thinking, how can I collect the vintage collection and miss out on that just because I'm not able to back it? It's terrible. And we were scrambling around on eBay trying to, waiting for Hasbro to put the last 400 of them or whatever that they had available on eBay. It's like a free for all. I've never wanted to go through that again, like in terms of something that I wanted, it's not good. Cheers, Josh. Thank you, mate. Congrats on 150. Have your eyes recovered from rolling all the way back in your skull during the Hasbro live chat? Yeah. What can I say? You go into those things knowing that the answers they're going to get are going to be very corporate answers, and they can't reveal this, and they don't want to comment on that. But the answer that they gave to Chris, and he had to sort of call for a timeout. It's I wouldn't go as far as saying as they're lying to our faces, but they're just not. They don't know the numbers, and just saying that oh, you get all the OT figures and you get this, and then when you actually like inspect it and look at it, well, not really. The other scale still gets all that as well. Why are we not getting these new media figures? So yeah, I didn't believe it. So yeah, that's why the eyes rolled. Hi Sean, mate. Cheers for the support, buddy. Good to see you here. BOE. Hi BOE. Squidhead was hanging out with Fat Bib. Exactly. Yeah, that's another reason why I think that'll be a good one. That I think Hasbro could do. And also I think maybe even the lower half of him could be similar to Bib in terms of like, they used Lando's legs, didn't they, underneath that thing. Squidhead's got a similar kind of soft goods around him, hasn't he? So maybe it'll just be new upper body and head, maybe, that they could do that. So hopefully that's one that we can do. Utah Don, thank you for the super chat, buddy. Love the hard questions when speaking to Hasbro. Yeah, well, we still got grief for that though, of some people, because I think somebody called me and Chris grumpy old men, which, like, you can't win, can you? So and we rewatching it, we kind of do sound like grumpy old men, but it's because we're not getting what we want, isn't it? How long are we going to be collecting this stuff for? How long have we got to wait until we get like a new new Farm Boy Luke or whatever? Jason, hey buddy. I'm watching from the sideline of my kids. Yeah, I wanted to get Jason on as well today, but I appreciate you watching, my friend. Really do appreciate that. Thank you. Jeff Morris. Yep, 3 years. I think I've only missed like 2 episodes. One I was away, I think, and then another one, my wife was poorly, I think, so I think that's the time that I couldn't do it. So yeah, I think I've done pretty well in keeping up to schedule and everything. 5-2. Last year on Pulse 1027, they introduced Black Series figures. Do you believe this year we might see TVC? Oh, 1027, is that that's for the members, right? If you're a member of Hasbro, yeah, it's called Hasbro Pulse, isn't it? If you're a member of that, then you get to see this secret live stream or whatever. So I can't remember what was on it last year. So if you're saying it as Black Series figures, then do we believe this year we might see TVC? Wow, the odds are against it, aren't they? Let's face it. Cranky Rancor reaching 150. Yeah, cheers, buddy. Appreciate that. All the way from Australia, Cranky Rancor, I believe. Owen Brown, with everything getting more expensive and the cost of living rising, do you think it will have a knock-on effect with people not being able to afford to collect? I think the Black Series is the first one that's going to be affected by that. The killer for me was seeing that Tika Jawa. It's an exclusive to Smiths or somewhere like that over here. £33.99 for a Jawa. That is going to price anybody out, is it not? I can see a lot of people moving over to the cheaper line, the TVC, but even that's going up and up and up, isn't it? You know, what happens when a regular TVC figure hits £20, $20? I think it'll price a lot of people out. And it's definitely worrying. But it's got to stop at some point, isn't it? Because you say people are just going to say, no, I've had it, I'm out. So, and once they lose too many, they'll have to, won't they? Jeff Russell, thank you, buddy, for the super chat. It's really generous of you, man. I appreciate that. Jeff Russell says, is there a list of SWTVC 2022 March Madness figures that are now in the line or pipelined? In fairness to Hasbro, there were quite a few from the 2020. Yeah, there is. I think, you know, without doing those guys a disservice, because they do a great job, and I love the March Madness. I think what tends to happen is the figures that get into that top 64 in the bracket or whatever seem to be the ones that are probably on Hasbro's mind anyway. So like the figures that we're getting now were decided 18 months ago, so before any brackets or whatever. But what it does show is that it's good to see that we're kind of on the same page. We're not getting as much as we'd like, but at least the ones that we are getting are the ones that people want, if that makes sense. There's a couple of anomalies in there like Dooku and whatever, which might sort of suggest to them, right, you know, let's do that figure, but we probably won't see that for another year or so if that's the way they go. But I love the bracket, and I said to them they should do it twice a year because I love it. It seems a long time to wait to get involved in that again. Anyway, it's nearly 8 o'clock. So, and I've got John here, so we're going to bring him on in a second. I'm just going to catch up with the chat. Do you personally have a price ceiling for TVC? It's difficult. It's difficult because it's difficult for me because I've got the channel, right? So like I review the figures, so I make it my business to get all of the figures, whether I like them or not. It's like people have often said to me, if you don't like that figure and you're giving it a bad rap in your review, why did you bother buying it? Well, I'm not going to just buy the stuff that I like and then go, ooh, isn't this great? I've got to sort of buy everything and say, well, I don't like this or whatever. So it is difficult for me because obviously whilst I'm, if I didn't have the channel, maybe I wouldn't be a completionist and I would pick and choose the ones I wanted. But because I do have the channel and do review the figures, it's a little bit different for me, if that makes sense. But most certainly, if I was an ordinary collector, I think, as I said, what are they now? $16.99, $17.99. I think when if they ever got to £20, $20, I think a lot of people, and maybe even myself, would say this is too much now. And I know they have done that with a couple of the deluxe ones, which shouldn't have been deluxe. That Boba Fett Morak, for example, there's no reason why he should have been that price at all. Yeah, Matt says I cut out Black Series mostly now, sticking TVC and Hot Toys. Hot Toys, yeah, well, they're worth more money though, aren't they? But yeah, I think the Black Series is getting that way. I think people are getting fed up with the repaints, fed up with the repacks, and the price. If a figure's going to cost you $30, regardless of, I know it's bigger, that's a lot of money to be dropping on a figure, especially when they bring out so many. It's difficult. Dystopian Playgrounds, thanks for the super chat, buddy. He says, is there a medium-sized vehicle, new or old, that you think would be a guaranteed success at retail? And what do you think is realistic 2023, 24? Man, that's difficult, isn't it? Because I don't, that is difficult. I think me personally, I think anything that's around a TIE fighter size scale would perfectly plausible at retail. I don't see any reason why not. So, for example, a Darth Vader's TIE fighter would have been cool. That would have been awesome if the Darth Vader's TIE fighter was in the show, in the Obi-Wan series, instead of the shuttle, because that would have been a really good sort of way of doing that. And it was an original vintage Kenner one. And I don't know, man. I think, I wouldn't want to be paying more than 100 for one of those, but I don't know. That's so difficult to answer, isn't it? Because obviously I'd want to see how many moving parts are on it, what's it includes, all that kind of stuff. But a Darth Vader's TIE Fighter is something that I think would be a decent success, personally. All right, so it's 8 o'clock now. John is waiting patiently, so I'm going to bring him in, and we're going to get on with the rest of the stream, and we will still take your questions and what have you. And if you have a question for John as well, make sure you drop it in. Right, okay, here we go. Let's do this. Hey there, buddy. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, Tim. Congrats to 150, man.
Cheers, buddy. Cheers. I can't believe there's like this many people in the chat. I really can't. I mean, obviously, when I have guests on, it's the Vintage Collection show. That's awesome. But people turning up that's just, I'm blown away. So thank you to everybody that's joined, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, what an honor. 200. I'm looking at this right now. 241 people, man.
Yes.
Amazing.
Awesome. So good. So good. So how you been keeping anyway? All right.
Yeah, I'm doing well, man. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Yeah, all good. I've got a bit of a cold, but I'm all right. I'm hanging in there. Bit of man flu.
Nice. Yeah. Excited to be on and chat with you about, the year looking back and, the Q&As and all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll talk about that quickly now before the SWTVC guys come in. I'll pose this question to them as well. You obviously saw the Q&A that myself and Chris were in. Slightly lively. What were your sort of takes from the whole? I know it's difficult because like the answers that they give are, they're a bit lame, aren't they? Really, but
yeah.
What are your thoughts overall after like what we got with PulseCon and then their answers, and just in general, like how are you feeling after those two events?
Yeah, great question. It's tough, right? Because they have a lot of events throughout the year. They have to space stuff out and, provide a decent enough update. And yeah, I think there's times where we do feel good as TVC collectors coming out of one of these, but I think more often than not, they're not as much as you would like, right? And you would think at their own event that they would, pack a nice big punch in there with a few nice sprinkle in a couple really exciting things. And I feel like other than the Bith band that we knew was coming, right? Because they had pipelined it and they revealed it. And yeah, we got to see them live there, right? Which was great, but we kind of knew about that. And we only got just a couple new pipeline reveals, right? We got the Darth Vader with removable helmet, which is, that's exciting to hear. As I mentioned before, I love that Power of the Force 2 figure, and I still have it. I still have one carded. One of I think the only one I still have left. And then, it was exciting to hear about another playset, but it was just a picture of it. And you're just curious to know what it's going to entail, what figure is going to be packed with it, all of that stuff. So, and then there was all the reissues, right? And I'm not even going to go into Hunter and all of that because we already knew about him. Yeah, it was nice to see Bradley D. Baker. I always mess up these names. Show him off and do all that stuff. That's great. But you want to see some new stuff. And you want to see it. You actually want to see it. So it's great to see those skiff guards, the barge and skiff guards that, you know, we should have gotten in 2019 when the barge was released. Well, it was finally released in 2019. But it's nice to get them for the anniversary. But man, like, sprinkle one new one in there. Just the pipeline. You know, sprinkle Velkin in. Come on, man. Give us Velkin or I don't know, one of those guys, Yatser Ren or Barada. So that was tough coming out of that. It was like, man, lots of reissues. That's kind of the theme this year that I'd like to talk to you about. Like reissues and repaint. Some of them are great, don't get me wrong. But then there was the Q&A. And just to speed this along, I'll be honest, I reached out and asked, who are we meeting with? And let's be honest, we know how these things work. We know they can't really disclose things, but I feel at times certain Hasbro folks give you a little more assurance without giving away too much. And, you know, people can knock Patrick all they want, but I think he's actually done a decent job trying to give us a little more of those nuggets than he used to in the past. And, you know, I was hoping for Emily to be on because she represents TVC. So, and again, nothing against who was there. I just felt like going into it, I wasn't going to hear anything but marketing baloney. So I tailored our questions to not become the typical grumpy self I can be. I greatly appreciate what you guys did. Like, I wanted a bag of popcorn the time I listened to you guys once, because it hit them with some hard questions. I just want people to know we took the approach of, I'm just going to ask for some stuff and I'm going to keep asking for it because you keep telling me, keep asking for this and we'll see. So
just to interject, like the first time I got asked to be on one of those things, I'd obviously watched previous ones where other people are on them and what have you. And I always thought it was to get a bit more information about some of the things that have been revealed. And I think it was the SWTVC guys is one where they got out that the Jabbergoon reissues, they're going to be in weight. They're going to be a figure within the waves, right? Because I thought immediately, well, there's 5 of them. I kind of knew Weequay was coming, so I'd sort of counted that one out. But the other 4, I thought, oh, maybe that's like a wave because you get these reissue waves in 4s. So to get that little nugget of information that they weren't, that's what I always thought that those Q&As were for. It's like we've had a live stream panel or a convention or what have you, and now we've given you as much information as we could within that, but now people have got questions specifically about those things. And it used to be, you know, your questions need to be about the reveals, right? But they didn't say that in this one, and I took that as license to sort of get a lot of stuff off of my chest from the Andor reveals, really. Because that really did, like, you know, I kind of knew that was going to happen, but when it did, it was like a kick in the teeth, like, and the
Black Series,
it's the reasoning behind it that's I don't like, you know. And then, no offense to the Black Series guy that was on our thing, you know, then you've got him sort of going, you know, he actually believes in his mind that the Black Series doesn't get, you know, the Vintage Collection gets all the cool figures just because we've got a Lobot and 2 Bespin guards, which are retooled figures. They're not new. They're not, you know, and it makes me think that sometimes people are collecting the wrong lines, because if you're collecting the Black Series, you will not get these deep cut characters, Cantina aliens. You just won't, because you'll always get those new media figures and what have you, whatever's sort of cool at the time. My issue is that the 3.75 inch has been going for so long, and there are some that I want updated in TVC, but ultimately we've got a lot of these deep cut characters already, so it should have a decent split looking towards the new media, because 2 Andor figures. What am I supposed to do with those? You know?
Yeah, you're right. That's
Just
not world building. It's not.
no. And that's why I started my question saying, you know, this, you often talk about, they use the term world building all the time, you know?
Yeah.
So I was just trying to sort of force that point across, that you can't word build these things with two Andor figures, you know?
Yeah, they're great points. And I mean, I guess we used it too as just a reference to, hey, like you have Cathaba coming back. It according to the TVC archive book, he was specifically tooled so you can easily make a Barada.
Yeah.
Like, can you just tell me you know that
Yeah.
we can do this with this pathetic budget that we have? Like, that's what we were going with. It was just like, we're going to ask for some stuff. Don't get me wrong. We've spent plenty of these asking questions and asking why can't we get more? And I appreciate you guys doing it. I just want people to know that, like, we just chose this one to be like, we're just going to request a bunch of stuff and give them ideas and ask a couple questions just on a few of, like, did you know this, and is it still in the realm of things? So I hear you, man. I'm mad respect for you guys, and even Crisby. I think Crisby hit him with some pretty good questions too
Yeah.
about the world building.
Yeah.
So yeah, great stuff. And I mean, there was some great parodies made as well, you know, on the Trandoshan treasures and Tuna Skull.
Tuna skull, yeah.
It was just cheers to Jason if he's on watching. I don't know what time it is there.
I think he might, yeah, it might be the different time zone for those guys.
But
Um,
yeah, man. So thank you guys.
Yeah, but just so people in the chat know, like this, you know, we're not going to be moaning like the whole time in this stream, although a lot of people do like people moaning, don't they? But we're, you know, we're going to talk about the good things as well. You know, because there has been some cool stuff. It's just, as I say, it was the Andor thing that really knocked me, and yeah, I just worry. It's because I think it's because of the projection of what's coming and all these other shows. Like, they're never ever going to be able to keep up. And one or two of these shows are just going to fall by the wayside. Like, you know, Book of Boba Fett, for example. I think we're going to be getting. We've had some pipeline things for next year, so it looks like they're trying to catch up with that a little bit. But while they're doing that, we're going to get Ahsoka, Mando 3. You know, so it's just that sort of, you know, the budget's not big enough. And you know, that question they always say, well, who would you take out if, you know, that's the problem, isn't it? And like,
he's asked me that before too.
Yeah,
he said that to us when we asked about Velkin and a few other backgrounders. And another time we asked for even just Dooku, and he was like, oh great, all we need is more old dudes. And then they release all of these old dudes in the Black Series. So it's just, yeah. And I just got to say one last thing. Like, the amount of times they said it's about balance, it's all about the balance. Like, just stop with that. There's, I get, maybe, you know, they're trying to say the balance of you know, all of the collector wants. You know, I think they're trying to say that, but then it's like they're mixing it up with like us asking for balance between the scales. And, you know, again, Chris just interrupting him and talking about just basic math, you know,
I know.
Was just brilliant. But at the same time, like, it's a tough setting for them to even, you know, as much as we want them to tell us the truth that, like, look, this stuff sells more, we make more
the truth
money
might
on
hurt
it.
a little bit.
It will hurt.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it's like the tin hat is growing more, that like there's an agenda, right? People have always claimed that they want to force people to those lines. And, you know, you can even start to see it with the retro collection. And I don't want to go too much into it, but I was taken back by the price of retro Indiana Jones, $14.99 in US dollars. Like,
yeah,
my God, like, this is just, it's not good where things are headed. But what are the options to what
Well,
options?
I think retro over here is 15 now, isn't it? How much was your Obi-Wan wave of?
I don't know, to be honest. I didn't buy them. I thought they were $12.99 or
Right.
maybe
I think
$11.99. Somebody
I think they're a
correct
bit
us
more.
in the comments, but I know was it the new boxed set of the OT figures?
Yeah.
I think they were pretty pricey, like around 90
Yeah.
something dollars for it. Again, I'm not I've chosen like nope, I'm standing my ground. I'm only collecting premium 3.75. I will sprinkle, like I bought that Boba Fett, that comic pack 6-inch figure. I couldn't help it. So cool
Yeah.
looking. But anyway,
Another thing that came out of the Q&As, which I found really interesting, and this is why I like the opportunity to be involved in them, because I do feel it's like a way of sort of finding out these little sort of nuggets of information, and it's one that Chris again managed to get out of them, and it was the tooling budget is a tooling budget, and everything comes out of that. And I think what he was trying to get at originally is like, does the vehicle budget, tooling budget, affect the figure budget? And it sounds like it does. So you've got to ask yourself,
the world
for
building.
example, we have got a speeder bike coming, which is a all newly tooled speeder bike, right? When we've got that 2012 one, which I personally think would have been fine as a repack or whatever. I know people don't like to hear the word repack, but I would have preferred it if they had used that, and then the figure, the Scout Trooper, is all new instead of updating slightly the one that they've done. That's what I would have personally preferred.
100%.
You know, because that speed bike isn't like too bad. Whereas I think the Scout Trooper, you know, when you look at what they've done with the Stormtrooper, what they could do with the Scout Trooper, I think it's just those little things like, you know, what was the sort of thought process behind that, you know? And I think someone said, do they even remember that they had that 2012 speeder bike? Because I think there was another question about it.
Yeah.
When they said, is it a retool or is it a new one? And he's going, no, of course it's all new, you know, because I think he was suggesting that they haven't got one that they could use, you know?
Yeah, great points. I mean, and that comes to if they did lose this tooling or it was compromised, the quality of it deteriorated or whatever happened, like that's taking away from us. And as a company and managing your resources and you know your assets, that's just poor management. And you know, you're right. The play sets, the vehicles, they're all part of that tooling that goes into the line, and we're getting less figures, unfortunately, because of all of that other world building stuff. But it's just such a tough thing, especially with so many different needs and wants by the community and trying to, you know, make everyone happy.
It is. There's no two ways about it. It is difficult. Oh, hang on. Sorry. French Collector UK says, no episode of Only One Bossk this week. I need my fix. Nick was actually poorly last week. He had the lurgy, should we call it? Unfortunately, but he's better now, and we filmed one today, so that'll be coming out on Wednesday.
Oh,
so
nice.
don't worry.
What's the lurgy? Sorry,
you know,
I need my
we allowed to say on the COVID.
Oh, the big C. Gotcha, man. Well, I hope he's getting better, but
yeah, no, I think he's much better now. But you know, it takes out of people, doesn't it? If you get a bad hit of it. So
I caught up on those yesterday, so it was nice to catch up on those and see what your top fives were and your bottom figures.
Yeah, we did the Phantom Menace today, which is quite interesting.
Oh God. Oof. It's a small
pool.
I,
without any spoilers, I found it easy to pick my 5, but then difficult to pick the order in which those 5 would go. But I think there's a few duds in the Phantom Menace lineup personally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before we get the other guys on, because they'll be here soon, I just want to get your because I don't think I've talked to you about this. What have you watched Andor yet? What are your thoughts on Andor?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very much enjoying it. I think I agree with a lot of people that it was a bit slow to start, and you weren't sure where it was going. But man, it's really developing quite a. I forget. I think maybe it was Jason that said it best. Like, there's just so much character development for each person, and the way, just such solid writing.
Yeah,
Um, that and then that last episode was just so intense. Um, it was just a really nice build up. So it's amazing to see, like, this is probably the best writing I, I've ever seen for Star Wars. I would say. So curious to see where the next 7 episodes go. Is it going to kind of slow back down again and build up, or what? But I'm enjoying it, and it's interesting to see this kind of take that's more of I don't want to say adult focused, but there's
yeah.
really
It's
not.
definitely adult focus. They swear, they swear in it and stuff, don't
Yeah.
they? So
Yeah, we saw like a post-sex scene too. I was like, whoa.
yeah. I thought that, one thing that really stuck out for me in the first episode was the music. It's like Star Wars is very like, has this sort of like operatic music and what have you, and it made it feel different for me that way. It was a bit more what's the other film that I'm thinking of with Harrison Ford in Blade Runner? It reminded me of Blade Runner a lot more, especially in that sort of first episode where he's walking around with like brothels and stuff. It's like walking around space Amsterdam sort of thing. So but yeah, I did feel it was slow, and I think what it is like there's these 3-episode arcs, isn't there? You got the first 3 episodes, then the next 3. So maybe
Oh,
the next 3
okay.
will be, maybe it'll push on in the timeline a little bit more. I think the writers did say that might happen,
Oh,
because
okay.
that ending, the previous one, spoiler alerts, did sort of end that sort of storyline, didn't it? So it's like,
Good,
where does it go next? But I'm loving it, man. I really am.
good point. I didn't realize the kind of episode arcs, kind of like the Clone Wars had, right? Like kind of
Yeah,
they
yeah,
had
yeah,
4-episode arcs. So that's cool. I'm gonna kind of look back and rewatch it and kind of dig into that a little more. But yeah, man, I'm very impressed so far. And yeah, that last episode was just so good.
yeah. Beautifully shot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And they're on location, and it's that sort of stuff matters. I think when you look at the Book of Boba Fett, and you've got mod speeder Ikes going around the corner, you can see the set posts behind the thing, and it's like, oh man, the budgets are
Right.
clearly,
Yeah, and even Chris, I don't want to take a quote away from Tuna, but he mentioned like just some of the cinematography of
yeah,
ships, like that when that TIE fighter came down low and just
yeah,
like whizzed by them, like the angle and the sound was just like absolutely amazing. It's like, just when you think you've kind of seen everything or
yeah,
heard everything in Star Wars that's familiar, they give you a whole new angle of it. And then even in that last episode when they showed them getting those ties ready, and
yeah,
just the pilots getting in all their switches, and then like
yeah. It's like
connecting.
really fleshing it out, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, that's a great way to put
making
it.
it making it seem real, like a real person in a real cockpit. Fiddling around with his instruments, trying to get it working. It's
Exactly.
awesome, man.
Yeah, so yeah,
So
that's
good.
like such a deep cut. It's great.
I've just got a quick super chat to read here.
Yeah.
So it's from Riley Bob. If Hasbro doesn't reach their record profit year, do we change? Do we see a change of team management? Current Haslab seems to fail. People wait for clearance, etc. A record profit year, yeah. I think you mentioned to me something about that, didn't you, John? About there was some article or something where they're aiming for
Yeah.
50% more or something like.
Yeah, I think Victoria originally shared I think an Instagram post, and then there was an actual article that if you went to it, it was kind of recap of their most recent quarterly shareholder, financial results and recap. And there's this whole plan to increase profits 50% more over the next 3 years, plus save $250 million to $300 million in operating expenses. Now, for any of us that work in corporate land, corporate America, that usually means like
People.
Yeah. and some process, which usually is people and outsourcing and stuff like that. So it's kind of lean times, but also like, what does that mean for properties that might, or stuff that maybe doesn't make as much juice from the squeeze?
Yeah, worrying.
Yeah.
Gary Moore says BB and Miko TVC figure of the year 2022. Putting us on the spot there.
I'm always so
I'm trying to think of what ones we've had.
I
think about if I think about some of the ones that have stuck out for me, like I really loved the Clone Wars Airborne Death Watch. That guy's brilliant. What a great figure that is.
The
Boba Fett good. The Morak Fett.
Yeah. Those sets are amazing. The Stormtrooper.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, we've been asking for that for so long. But without
that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I don't think any of us would like say anything negative about the quality of what we've been getting. I mean, fair enough, there's a few repaints and repacks in there and whatever, and they're making the use out of parts, and that's how they make their money. But in terms, especially the new figures that we've been getting, some of them are, really, really good in terms of the quality of them.
Yeah, right.
The likenesses, like, even if you don't like the character from the only Obi-Wan series, what's her name, Reva, that figure, the facial sculpt on that figure is unbelievable in terms of the likeness, just unbelievable.
Yeah, I'll go with for all new figure, I think we got to go with Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Dark Time. Sorry, I was like scrolling through to look through 2022.
Yeah.
And again, that Stormtrooper, people have been begging for kind of a more accurate Stormtrooper with rocker ankles and the holster.
Yeah.
The only nitpick I will give on that figure is I wish the helmet was a little bigger, but it's great without that. So I would say those two figures, but yeah, all of the new figures also are just quite amazing, and the likenesses.
Yeah, there's some good ones. Yeah, we've had some good ones this year. It's just, as we keep saying, it's the amount of new, for me, it's the amount of new media that I have a problem with.
Absolutely.
Because I just think they should be, making the most out of these things when they drop, which they obviously are in one scale, but not in the other. So there's so many comments going on here.
I'm looking at them too.
Daniel Chart, yeah. Am I the only one who doesn't like the rocker ankles on the new Stormtrooper? They render all the stands. They do. But I find I can make a figure stand up better with the rocker ankles, without a stand. But yeah, the peg holes become useless.
Oh, yeah, the peg holes have always been kind of a problem, though. I mean, just with my display here, sometimes I have to like cut half of the peg knob off the stand just to get them on. So I can see they're a little more shallow with that, but there's also a little more flex so you can balance them a little better. Like, I know a lot of people complain this guy can't stand right, but could you imagine VC 186 without rocker ankles? It would be even harder. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I see what he's saying. And I want more.
Phil the Force says, what are the 3 Blue Sky Fets behind you?
Oh, come with me over here.
One of these is going to be that miss card, isn't it?
That's over there.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll just say I don't know why I'm pulling them down, but it's the there's the sensor, the no sensor, and then the braidless.
No Wookiee braids.
No Wookiee braids. And then yeah, the one Tim was alluding to is over here and you can't tell. Is Snagglefett.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I've got a fetish like many people do. I mean, I think he's probably one of my top figures in the whole line. So
Sean says everything TVC has been making has been incredible. I think Emily is a big part of that. Yeah, well, she is. Am I right in saying, John, that she is like the head designer for TVC? Is that right?
Yes, she is. Yeah, she's the lead designer. I think there's your marketing people, there's your designers, and then there's your sculptors, right?
Yeah.
So your sculptors are like Tom Riga and I forget the young lady's name.
They outsource a lot of that, don't they?
And then they
don't necessarily work for Hasbro. They're like contracted, aren't they?
Yeah, and they lost one of their really great ones to contracting work. But I'm forgetting his name, but he did some of those ZBrush brush things that were out there on tooling and sculpting and designing. But yeah, so yeah, she's basically the lead designer on TVC, and I think Chris could oversee a lot of stuff, and maybe he does more with vehicles and play sets, but I could be wrong. I'm not sure exactly Chris Reich's role. So
yeah, Rob Ernest has said, question BB, my hot take, Hasbro is intentionally delaying finishing the original 96 because they may fear collectors will abandon the line once. Oh, for sure. If you've done them all, some people are going to go, well, what do I need to even look at this stuff for? Why am I even bothered? I've got what I want. There is definitely that, of course. And also there's still a lot of them for them to do, right? So they definitely wouldn't be able to get all of them out in 1 year anyway, because then you just wouldn't get anything else apart from the original 96.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't get any Obi-Wan or any Andor, not that we're getting loads. None of the Clone Wars stuff that we're getting. I think, when they say about like, what would you take out? I don't know about their budgets or anything, but just from the outside looking in, I would like sort of say, well, all those retoolings that they did for all those Mandalorian figures, the Clone Wars Mando figures and the Captain and all that, they were like mainline figures. They could have easily like done those as like exclusives or something, and then had something else in their place that was like, a newly tooled figure. But if they've only got the budget for 11 or 12 newly tooled figures for a year, then that's a finite number. That's all you're going to get. So it doesn't really matter where you get them, what line, whether they're mainline, whether they're in some exclusive pack or whatever. That's how many you're going to get. And then it's just deciding like, right, 3 or 4 of them are for new media, 1 or 2 are from OT for the OT, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah.
Yeah, if you can't really leverage tooling for something or try to squeeze another figure or 2 out of something else, then we're only going to get so much if this is the budget. So it's just unfortunate. And that's the thing, right? So when we talk about, what would we like to see? What would we want to see more of? This is some of the stuff we can talk about. And I know we can probably save that for later, but if we're not going to get an increased budget, what are our other options? And I have some thoughts, and we can save it for later if you want. So
no, absolutely. And we're going to go through a stats thing that you put together, which has taken you a long time, I know. We're going to go through that, and I want you to sort of direct me in that, and show the listeners what it's all about, and it just show it's just a numbers game, isn't it, basically? The SWTVC guys are here now, so I'm going to just pull those guys in, say hello to those guys, and then we can get into it a bit more. Okay, so first off, here's Evan. How you doing, buddy?
So good. How are you doing, Tim? How you doing, John?
And Tyler, mate, how you doing? You all right?
Cheers. Yeah, I'm good. How are you guys?
Very well. How's your internet connection? Good?
Should be good, yeah.
Good to see you guys.
This is good. Would you be nervous having John in your collection room with his bubble crush fetish?
Yes, Bradley. Yes, show me all your weak and docile cards. I will crush and open them for you.
Yeah, all my best ones are in acrylic, so you won't be able to get your hands on them. How you doing, fellas? You all right? I haven't spoken to you for a while. You all good?
Good.
Yeah, we just recorded a very fun, upbeat, very happy beepy episode of our podcast this morning before doing this. So we are in the right headspace to talk about the amazing situation we're in as TVC collectors.
I couldn't have said it better, Evans.
So basically, you've just been moaning for a couple of hours, yeah?
Oh, well, no, I believe the correct term is people who just cry about it. We're just crying about it. So we've been crying for 2.5 hours. It's fun.
And I don't know why, because apparently we have all the fun here.
I'm having so much fun. It's given me ulcers.
So much fun.
You should be happy that you even have it.
Yeah, that's the spirit. Anyway, sorry to come in swinging with my fun predisposition for the day. I'm happy to be here, though, quite honestly. So
yes,
yeah, no, it's good to see you guys. Good to see you. So I think we'll just start off with what I asked John. Your sort of overall thoughts about PulseCon and the what little bits of information that we got from the Q&A. As I mentioned to John, I appreciate that. Out of yours, you managed to get the sort of little nugget that those Jabba's goons aren't going to be a reissue wave. They're going to be actually incorporated within, like 6. I think basically is we're going to be getting 6 figures per wave from now on. If that seems to be the theme, and then one of those figures in each wave probably will be one of those figures. I think. So.
If Hasbro's to be believed on that, they've not been super reliable at absolutely knowing what exactly they're doing with these reissues half the time. Their track record with giving us accurate information on the reissued figures is
but they did say they're not on the they're not on that new SKU though, isn't it? So that
so
tells you something.
I think it makes sense for them to be peppered in so that they can have something in each wave to be like, see guys, you get to be part of Return of Jedi 40th. Enjoy. I mean, that would be rad too, John.
Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. You never know. Yeah, it's a good point, John. Yeah.
I still can't get over the fact that his camera follows him. That's just the coolest. This is like the third stream I've been on where I've seen that, so it's not new, but like every time I'm just amazed. I got to get one of those.
I got a setup where I have a TVC background. I just have lightsabers. That's all I have right now.
Yeah.
So,
you have a great staircase, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
thanks.
Really dig your spiral staircase.
Yeah.
Where does it lead? I'll never tell.
I saw that lightsaber photo you shared. That's quite the collection, man.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, get that mic out of the way. There you go.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that.
Nice, dude.
That's called I'm not having children to send to college. So
are they a mixture of like Black Series ones and what came before the Black Series again? What was it called?
Yeah, so there was Black Series was just the repack evolution of the Force Effects. So they kept it as so it's Force Effects became the Black Series Force Effects because Black Series means premium collector level stuff. And that was 2015 when they did that. And then the Force Effects Elite is where they've moved on because they just keep adding words every time to it as Hasbro. So those are the ones that they started doing with the removable blades, all that. And then I've been rebuilding my collection of the Disney Parks Legacy lightsabers, which is kind of a pain when you live 1,300 miles away from the nearest Disney park and have to pay people extra money to get them for you. So yes, no Utah Dawn, Dystopian Playgrounds, no Riva lightsaber. Nope, not in my collection. Never will be, apparently.
Ryan Byrne, please address. John Miko and I had a great convo on this the other day on his YouTube channel. What can we do to collectively as a community make Hasbro address and fix Walmart from shipping TVC figures mint on card? I that is one of my questions that I brought up for my patron supporters, and and I think I did a half decent job of hitting home because I even came back at them with their answer.
we've
it's
asked.
like they choose these partners. They've got to make sure that they, how hard can it be? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah,
Anyway, I asked the question for you guys, and it gets. That's what I said to them. She came back with, and I said, yeah, but it does get brought up every single time, and it's still a problem. So
yeah, thank you for that. We've asked that, like either last year or whenever.
The usual answer that we get is
they give that canned answer to me that they gave to you, and yeah, you were like, this has already been addressed several times. So
yeah,
it's not changing.
no.
Get over it. Find a friend, get them from a friend or the UK, like Tim brought up. Like,
Yeah.
we've done.
Listen, the vintage collection came back in 2018. It's been like 4 years now. Okay. If you think you're going to get mint figures from Walmart, I don't know where you've been, living under a rock or something. That's not where you get your mint figures from. If you want mint figures, you're going to have to get them from Fan Channel. If the figures aren't available in Fan Channel because they're an exclusive from Walmart or Target, then I guess Star Action Figures is how you get them. Because get them from the UK, because Walmart doesn't care. And it's been 4 years now. They're not going to care. They don't care. The answer is they don't care. So I don't know.
There's been issues with carded collecting since the start.
Yeah.
And they fix one thing, they create a new problem. They fix one thing, they create another problem. It's just, there's a meme out there that somebody created of, I set my camera. That basically
that's super cool. Oh my gosh.
That yeah.
Mate.
Sorry.
I haven't drank anything.
I should name him like R2CMRA. But basically it was like from Rogue One with Krennic and Galen Erso, and it's like, you're a loose collector, and then the guys, Galen's like, yeah, it's a peaceful life. And it's so true. It's like, it's exhausting and defeating even just being a carded collector at times. So
yeah,
miserable.
So
no, we're having fun. We're having fun. Are we having fun yet?
So I
all we can do is laugh at us, right? I mean, that's fun.
Sorry, I didn't give you a chance to answer my question because I started going on about the answer that you got from your Q&A about the Jabba's goons being in the way. So just in general, like PulseCon and subsequent Q&As, how are you feeling?
Tyler, you take it.
Well, look, so oh boy. Okay, so
take a deep breath.
Let me start off by saying, and we just talked about, again, everybody who's watching, apologies that we're an hour late to joining the stream. We were recording an episode. But on the previous episode, we were talking about keeping PulseCon expectations low. And I don't think we were very far off on that. I don't know, man.
I'm put off by the fact that repacks and reissues are the majority of the things they want to pipeline for us, because that's not where things belong. Yeah. The pipeline should be for exciting new things so that you can have faith that they're going to cover the things that you want to see them cover and spend money to make some new stuff. I don't want to see a figure that I got 13 years ago in the pipeline.
Yeah. So. And also, if you were a Black Series collector, having them like lord over these spending half the stream about the credit collection or whatever, that if I was collecting that line, I'd be like, man, just get on with it, because I was saying get on with it, get to the TVC, but I'm not going to say it goes as far as saying it's embarrassing for them, because they're clearly not embarrassed about it, but I personally think it is a bit embarrassing, like just hailing these amazing credit collection figures. They're just, you can see the comments flying, going repaints, more repacks, blah, 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 blah. It's like, come on, like, have you not learned from the previous 5 live streams that you've done that you should save the really, really, really good stuff, the new stuff, for these live streams? And maybe as you say, Evan, a pipeline of something new, like when they pipelined the new Phase 2 clone. I was overjoyed. Tyler had his head in his hands because he was looking at his army of 5,000 VC-45s. But that's the sort of thing they should be like, heralding. Not some repack. Like, no one cares, man. That should be secondary. That should be like, oh, cool, that's coming as well. Brilliant, thanks, sort of thing. Not the focus.
It should be supplemental, but
yeah.
Would you like some quick math that I did last week that I ended up not sharing on our Instagram? It was for some newness stuff.
You can do, but we also have something lovely that John's put together. But you go for it, mate.
No.
No. You go. Because
this is probably going to be inaccurate. So it's just a breakdown of some newness.
I mentioned that mine is not John Mustache approved.
Okay, neither's mine. He's not here though, so screw him. So data just looking at figures characters released in 2022, not counting carbonized or credit collection for the Black Series, because want to give them a little bit of benefit here. So the Black Series saw 92 unique figures / characters, with 54 of them not existing in TVC.
Wow.
The Vintage Collection in that same time period saw 79 unique figures and characters, with 29 not existing in the Black Series. TVC received 9 all-new sculpts, which is 11% of the offerings. The Black Series received 24 all-new sculpts, which is 26% of the offerings. Anyway, you having fun yet?
Math hurts.
Yeah.
By the way, that would be nice to marry up with what I've put together to really talk about those comparison and balance, the balance, the scale stuff that you guys do. So I just kind of focused on what we got in TVC for like total figures.
Yeah.
What was partial, what was new, and what was existing.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of spreadsheets for that too, John. So after this, let's chat. Let's compare some notes.
Yes.
See, Sean Solo here. He's a big he collects TVC as well, but I know he's a big Black Series collector, and he says Black Series is dead. I'll be interesting if you want to do a follow-up comment, Sean.
Yeah, I know.
Give us a quick rundown of why you feel that. Is it the price? Is it the amount of repacks? Is it what is it that's making you feel like that?
And what I noticed in some of some of the data I put together was how much of that partial tooling was like such minimal partial tooling. Like it hurts. Like
new trigger finger.
Yeah.
Shield, coin.
Yeah.
Soft cape. Like, because you have to kind of acknowledge that, like, they did put funding into this figure because they changed his plastic cape to a soft cape.
Yeah.
Or a new head on an old clone body. It's just
that rescue set. When you really think about the newness in it, you're getting. I think the Grogu's new, or at least he's getting a new head, right?
Yeah,
I think so.
I put partial,
yeah.
So you're getting his little binders, you're getting the whistling birds, the flamethrower piece, you're getting a retooled Mando because both of his gauntlets are different. You're getting the spear, you're getting the soft goods cape.
So what I'm hearing is you're getting $24.99 worth of new stuff.
And then they're charging what, $80 for it, and I'm like.
Yeah.
The dark trooper has the different head.
Oh yeah. The dark trooper and the flames. Yeah,
and the flame.
Yeah,
lots of flames. Lots of new flames this year.
Yeah.
See,
World building.
my son absolutely loves that. He's already nicked all the figures off of me. I didn't let him have the what's he called, Moff Gideon, because I wanted that one for my. But I was happy to let him have the other two because I've already got a soft good Mando and what have you. Obviously, he doesn't know the price. He just knows the figures, and he loves that dark trooper with the flames going on and everything. And it's like, it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was well over price. I think everyone knows that, don't they? So.
Yeah, I heard you guys talking briefly about the 50% profit goal for Hasbro, that they released that really tone deaf, like, hey, watch us make money. video on their socials, and it's like, look at how cool it is when we make money and make less stuff and fire a bunch of people. So
the comments were better than anything I've ever seen. Even
I missed the comments.
It was, and they left.
I don't think I saw the video, to be honest.
It's shameless, and I say that it's not the Star Wars team or anything. It's just a corporate thing from Hasbro level, and it does trickle down, and it affects all the teams that are just trying to do their best with these licenses, these properties. When you have the bean counters, like, well, how could we increase our profits, but then, like, not do anything real with it? So
yeah, they're killing art, man. They're killing art.
So anyway, that's my little rant on that.
Who tells their customers, yeah, I want to make an extra 50% profit? Yeah, it's a bizarre thing, isn't it?
It literally just means like more repaints.
It's like a leaked shareholders letter, isn't it? It's like
they said the quiet part out loud. That's all it was.
Yeah. They left the right.
What they spent probably $10K making a video about it.
Do you really think that your customers are such mindless consuming drones that they didn't understand the overall message of that video?
Yes, they did. Are they wrong? Maybe not.
Yeah, it spoke to licensing and kids more kid-centric type stuff afterwards, but it was just like, what a way to lead into that.
It set off alarm bells for me. I just was, yeah.
Here we go. We got Sean here. Black Series have been going Marvel Legends route and reusing parts and selling them as new figures. Have they been selling them as new figures though? I think most people.
No.
Well, maybe you need to be like really ingrained in it to know if it's not a new figure or not. I don't know. So many rip-offs available. Example: Comic Con Layer and Chrysanthemum. I mean, the Chrysanthemum.
Yeah, that's the bad one.
That made me like, wow, that was incredible.
Yeah.
I guess from an outside looking in, when I look at the Black Series, I think that the stat that you've just given there, Evan, of newly tooled figures, all that kind of stuff, great. It's more than collectors of the vintage collection are getting, and that's where I want the sort of parity to come back. But from the outside looking in, especially the live streams that we're getting last year, there was a lot of repaints, repacks for the Black Series, like a lot. It seemed that way anyway.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking to myself, people are gonna get annoyed about this. You can see in the comments anyway, but just in general,
maybe they should
only get away of you can only get away with it for so long. Do you know what I mean? Until, like, for example, the credit collection line. First wave novelty. Oh well, they're kind of cool. Second wave, these look a bit disgusting. Third wave, it's like
make it stop.
6 or 8 make it stop. Yeah. So
they did the same thing with carbonized. I mean, I will say it's been a while since they've announced a new wave of carbonized for TVC, hasn't it? The last ones I can think of was
This is about when we'd be expecting them if they were going to be doing them this year. So
the last one was with the carbonized shore trooper, right?
Yeah.
So maybe they finally got the message that, like, we don't want these anymore. Stop, please.
Well, if they didn't learn from that, they had to have learned of their valued retail partner Target drowning in seas of these things. Like, wow.
We've seen the pictures that Jason Yakface, who's in the comments right now, by the way, he posted up like a picture of an end cap of like those Target exclusive carbonized, the Black Series shore troopers, and there was like 100 of them on the shelf, and I was just like, oh God, those are gonna sit until 2028. Like, God.
Really quick to touch back on the point about Hasbro using so much reuse in the Black Series, where the reuse is good. Like, reuse is a good thing. It's not a dirty word. Being able to reuse the assets and for them to expand their tooling library so that they can make a wide variety of characters and things is awesome. I like to see that. Some things are more successful than others, like Sergeant Creel and Marvel Leia in publishing. Is it super exciting? Not really, but that's a really clever reuse there, and it's very cool to get some variety in terms of their media representation. Black Chewbacca, no, not good, not a great job, where they just were like, they spilled some black plastic into the mold and said, it's not Chewbacca, it's Chrysanthemum, we swear. But think about it this way too, with the Black Series, even when they reuse stuff, the oldest pieces that they have in their tooling library are from 2013, almost 10 years old, which sounds bad, but compare that to the vintage collection where they're still using parts from 2004. So these parts are nearing 20 years old, and they aren't up to modern standard because they weren't done with the, in a future-proofed way. They were just done. So
I think Chrysanthemum was extremely bad timing as well, because he had just appeared in the Book of Boba Fett. People were for when Black Chrysanthemum was announced, they were expecting this newly tooled, huge Wookiee looking awesome with all his stuff, but they got the publishing version.
But that's not even right.
No, it's not. And they cheaped out on it because all of those publishing were, as you say, they're retools, reuses, and what have you. You're not going to get a fully newly tooled figure in one of those packages. So that was extremely bad timing for that.
Yeah,
I bet they couldn't wait to get out the pipeline that, don't worry, Chrysanthemum is coming, sort of thing.
But where's that pipeline for the vintage collection people who not only made a big stink about wanting him, but he won March Madness, he's very popular, and Hasbro's like, oh, we follow that stuff.
Yeah, I said at the beginning of this, I messed up. I thought he actually had been. I thought he got pipeline for both lines on the same stream.
I thought that at one point.
So. But like you hear things from different people, like and Chrysanthemum's been something that's been in my ear, like for TVC. So maybe he is on the way or something. I don't know, but I honestly thought that he had already been pipeline and was kind of talking as if he was. But
can I read some of this really quick? Some of their press release. Guided by a new blueprint with the consumer as its North Star, the company will focus investment on its most valuable franchises across toys, gaming, entertainment, and licensing. The company is implementing an operational excellence program designed to deliver $250 to $300 million in run rate cost savings over the next 3 years, with $150 million expected in run rate savings by year end 2023. Hasbro has many strengths, amazing brands that span generations, a gaming portfolio second to none, a history of play and entertainment innovation led by some of the best teams in the business, and unwavering corporate citizenship. Building on these strengths, today we announce a new day for Hasbro with the introduction of Blueprint 2.0. This strategic approach is core to how we'll continue to bring our strong brands to life for consumers of all ages, and how we'll manage the business to monetize our intellectual property, drive investments, deliver profitable growth, and create shareholder value. So just reading that vomit, sorry.
We're all going to get blacklisted.
I don't care. They can blacklist me. Go ahead. I don't care. It's basic. Look, if I ran that business, yeah, I'd want to focus on my IPs because they make me the most money. But they're basically saying, like, we're getting more lean and we're going to focus on the shit that makes us a lot more money. Screw you, Disney. No. In some ways. I don't know. I'm reading between the lines here. But
how long? So were they read? What? Oh, yeah.
Word salad.
Yeah, that's a horrible salad, though, Jason.
It's like
a dressing salad they're using on their barbecue sauce.
I was going to say it's like chili sauce dressing.
Sorry. So it's just, even when they talk about action figures in that, it's just Marvel. Mm-hmm. It's like all Marvel and all this content coming out from Marvel.
Well, there's plenty of content for Star Wars. Just saying. More than ever.
Yeah. It's funny because I don't really pay attention to anything else other than Star Wars, really. I like the new indie, look at the new indie stuff and what have you. So I don't know anything about Marvel Legends at all. Yeah. I don't know what figures are in it, what retooling they do. I know nothing about it whatsoever. I don't really know anything about G.I. Joe either, and I don't claim to. So I don't really know too much about the Black Series anymore. I don't really pay attention to it that much, apart from the fact when I'm looking at like what You know, for example, with Andor, 10 versus the 2 that we're getting. So yeah, I mean, what you're saying there, John, is that basically to save money, they're going to concentrate on the things that they don't have to pay a license fee for. Is that basically what that says?
I felt, yeah, I think it's pretty much.
That sounds like a great way to lose a license.
Yeah, weren't they just not too long ago being like, we renewed the Star Wars license, we're gonna make these things forever? Like, how long is that contract for? If they don't want it.
I mean, Disney's known to even do that with movie theaters, right? Like, movie theaters don't even make this, like, they barely make money on Disney movies because Disney basically tells them, like, this is how much, you know, I'm charging you to show these movies, and it's the highest across any media company. Like,
yeah,
just crazy.
Well, then at least Hasbro could offer us some popcorn with our empty pegs.
Sorry to go down that rabbit hole.
No, that's fine. It's fine.
Happy beeps, Bossk. Thanks for having us today.
No, it's good. It's good. You know, anything for me that like sort of pushes like the vintage collection into their heads more is good for me, because that's, I'm not going to say it's all I care about, but it's the thing.
It's all I care about, Bossk.
Yeah, it's what I collect, so it's the thing that I want them to do more of, you know. So
Evan literally used to buy Black Series. I mean, does anybody care about Black Series anymore?
Well, I know there's people in the chat. I definitely know there's people that collect both lines. So that's the thing. I'd never want that, you know, to wish ill feelings on that line. I just want if they're there, I don't want them to come down to us. I want us to go up to them. That's the point, isn't it?
Let's have robust lines that offer similar, like they cover a lot of the same things, but they can scratch different itches in some focuses. But yeah, it's like, it's not calling for less Black Series. It's just like, yeah, like you said, let's level up so that we can get more.
Yeah, especially around new media, because I mean, I put a poll out on my community tab. I mean, it only got 1,300 votes, but I think that's a reasonable capture of data.
Yeah.
And new media had like 36% of the vote versus, you know, original 96. I think the other one was OT characters that have never been made before, that kind of thing. Like new media won the day. Like, you know, so for them to say, oh well, we think
they're convinced that we don't.
I mean, they might have some better. They might have better data than that. They probably do, you know. But I don't know. I think other people have done similar polls, and you know, some of the figures that were in your March Madness and stuff suggests that new media is right up there as well. So,
yeah, it's looking for balance not only in the scales, but you know, balance in what they're offering. You know, offer the new media, offer the OT stuff.
It's really interesting, Evan. You made a graph which hasn't been posted yet. I don't know when you're going to post it. Maybe next week. But you were comparing Black Series and the Vintage Collection releases by media this year, right? Yeah. And it was funny because they claimed that the Vintage Collection is where the OT focus is at. But if you actually compare the bars,
Black Series gets more OT.
Is higher. So it's like, what are you talking about? Literally, what are you talking about?
And we get more Mando than they do, but that's just like only a couple figures, and that's because of Troopers. And they get more of everything else exponentially, just about. So
I'm just saying, like, we
yeah,
like the data on this stuff. You can't pull the wool over our eyes.
Yeah.
Like,
just admit that it makes you more money.
Yeah. Just be honest.
I think Chris in our Q&A said that it costs them more money. He said obviously a Black Series figure costs more money to make. What he really meant was they sell for more. That's or we make more profit.
Because they've said many times that it doesn't cost.
Yeah, I think he was trying to say that like it takes more of the budget because it costs more.
Yeah. Yeah. So, John, that's a good segue into what you've produced today, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Sorry to step on your toes with that.
No, they're really different things, right? This just kind of shows TVC. Like, I was shocked how many figures we bought this year, or we had offered to us. It's over 100.
it's like 120 some, right?
I think I noted around 106.
Okay.
Now, you know,
I included stuff from the end of last year at one point, so my numbers were a little off. So
Is this big enough? Is this big enough on the screen?
it looks
Or
looks
can
it.
I?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks good.
I don't think that's really made a difference.
No,
has
you
it?
can
So
keep
let's-
us on there. That's fine.
Oh, whoa!
But I think,
There we go.
and what I did, Evan, was I allowed you to change between, do you mean budget year or do you mean release year?
pedantic stuff.
Which one do you want? And I have it
Yeah, so
filtered.
just talk us through what like.
Yeah.
So this is, you've got some filters on here. So what's this actually in a
Yeah.
overview way? What's this going to
Sure.
tell us, and then we can go through all the other bits.
Data storytelling by John Miko.
Right.
Basically, yeah, it's a 22 breakdown of TVC. And like I said, like it would be great to marry this with this Black Series stuff. So that could be another, and I'd love to just, see what you guys have. But I basically break it down at the very top there by what type of tooling. And that's overall tooling, not figure tooling, like we talked about before. That partial tooling could be a shield, could be a new little head, could be a soft goods cape, right? Because again, that goes into the cost for everything, right? So I'm giving you a breakdown there. Yellow's partial, red's existing, the blue is new. And I'm pretty sure, and again, we can look over this, that we got 11 new tools this year in the main line. If you include deluxe, you would add that Dark Trooper, right? So this is what it's filtered on right now. So the category it's filtered on is mainline release. If you hover over that filter, you can add in what we got in Haslab, what we got in the deluxe line, what we got for con exclusives like the rescue set, and then
Troop
reissue.
builders.
So when I say reissue, that's what Patrick says. What our lovely little buddy there, Mr. Patty Cakes, he says when he says reissue, he means literally a TVC 1.0 figure on its same card, just reissued that we're getting. And then Troop Builder, right? I included every one of the 4 packs that we're getting. Again, there could be some variations that if, is it for 2023 or are we going to get it in 2023? I'm pretty sure he said we're going to get, for instance, clear that filter really quick, Tim. If you click out of there or just hit all and then apply, this will give you everything. Oh, it didn't work. Oh, damn broken thing. Just go up to the category and hit the clear the filter.
So, John, just real quick, I just want to say this is really impressive.
There you go. It's worked.
There you go. So 107 figures, right? Like, holy crap. But 15% of those are new tooling. Basically, 85% of it is existing or partial tooling.
So, John, you said that in that 15%, the deluxes are not included, or they are included?
Well, because we cleared the filter, included everything, it is including that that deluxe, the Dark Trooper.
So 16 new is 16 new figures?
I hope my shit didn't mess up. But yeah, I gotta validate this. But I thought it was only 12. My apologies.
But even 12,
and I only have it at 9, so I am missing something.
Yeah.
Well,
sorry. Tim, go over the donut. Go over the donut for blue. When you look at the donut chart, 16. So click on that. Click on that. Click on that. Scroll down to the list at the bottom.
Whoa, this is like intense stuff, John. This is like, how long did this take you, man?
I worked till 2 a.m. putting this together.
Wow.
But you know what? I probably should update some things there, but I included it's including some of the stuff I think in the Haslab.
It's including the carbonite blocks. That's where our data is off.
Thank you. I thought,
and also, well, technically, actually, the Corvus Ahsoka reuses hands, so she's not all new. So your stuff is wrong.
But Yeah. So yeah, there's
So
definitely
what we
a lot
got there? We've got
Okay.
these two that we haven't got yet. Cal, we haven't got. We've got Vader. We've got Kenobi, Reva. Yeah, those three were new. Fennec, Ahsoka, Bo-Katan. Oh yeah, the blocks.
Yeah.
Dark Trooper, Quill, and the Mithril. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 11 of them are new media. I've Darth Vader is new media, but it's Darth Vader. We've had loads of Darth Vaders before. So
Yeah.
That Dark Trooper, for example, that version of the Dark Trooper we've never had before. I know we've had other Dark Troopers, but
yeah,
it's
definitely leaning on the Mandalorian and new media. Yeah. So sorry. Yeah. Like I said.
So where this is my point. Like what I was just going to say. Where are these? Where's the concentrate? They say they concentrate or lean to the original trilogy, but no new tooling budget is being used for any new original trilogy figures at all.
Yeah. So if you deselect the little blue pie there and go down to the gray chart and click on the OT bar up at the top there, the gray chart, the bar chart. Yeah. Click on OT. And we scroll down, we can see here, like
that repack, repaint, repack, repaint, partial tool, repack, partial tool, partial tool, partial tool, repack, repaint, blah 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 blah. Yeah. So none of the fully newly tooled budget, like the budget they use and say, right, tooling budget or whatever for a brand new, fully tooled figure has gone on this year has been spent on an OT figure.
Meanwhile, in the Black Series, they spent the money to make all new Figure and Dan. Didn't they make an all new Bib Fortuna?
Leia,
Ewok Village, and Yavin Leia last year? Like they're spending money to make OT characters in the Black Series.
And again, like I hate to discount the partial tooling on figures like Lobot and.
I mean, it's appropriate.
Fortuna, and I like how you guys, I think had a category for like a new character, a well updated character. I forgot how you said it, but that's some good stats in there too. Because I don't want to downplay it. I even added an indicator here to say was the partial tooling minimal?
Mm-hmm.
And if you say show me the minimal stuff at the filter at the top, it will. I mean, at the far right, the furthest right filter there, Tim. Yeah. And if you select, just minimal, it's like they took 10 figures and just updated a little thing on it, and again, it's just.
So when we look at the all new figures this year in 2022, compared to 2021 and 2020, where we got 9 new sculpts per year. So this year, what are we getting? What's the number we're getting this year?
12.
So they've increased by 3 all new sculpts, right? So we have asked them to, increase the budget and, more output, more new output. And in that respect, credit where credit is due. It does seem like they are incrementally growing the line. But when you have so much media to juggle between the new and the old,
that's
the
problem.
And it's interesting if, like, sorry to go back to this, but if they're saying they're focusing on the Mandalorian and OT, when we look at that chart,
it's not true.
Media grouping, they are the gray chart, Tim. Deselect OT. Just hit the bar chart for OT. Hit the little bar. Yeah. You can see there that like the Clone Wars, again, this is a grouping, right? So for Clone Wars, I said, hey, anything from the Jendi and the Filoni and then Bad Batch, that's Clone Wars. I just lumped it together. It's showing you that, we're getting 14 from there and only 10 OT. I know they're kind of similar, but that's not your focus. OT is not your.
Well, hey, at least we're getting
Mandalorian is
number
streets
7,
ahead, isn't it? Streets ahead.
Yeah, and if you hover over it, it'll tell you the percent on those charts, like on those bars. 35%
Wow.
of it is Mando. And again, there's a lot of repacking with some partial tooling going on there, right? Like the rescue set and all of that stuff. But
hey, Miko, could you add a filter in there? And this is a lot of work. I will help you.
Oh,
with this if
yeah.
you need. Can you add a filter in there for date or year of oldest part? Because I'm like not even kidding. That sounds like nitpicky, but like seriously, if it's eye-opening to see how ancient some of this stuff is that they're charging us $14.99 for.
Oh yeah, I mean, look what R2 SHW, whatever his name is.
That was the absolute wrong droid to put that that wrong R2 body to use for that.
Yeah, wrong body, and the price was just it hurt. It hurt.
Jason said, I think they'll up the repacks to offset the increased percentage of all new figures.
107 figures is a lot of money, man. I don't, and I know I'm Tyler. I don't want to ask for less ever, right? I know you've been banging on that drum for a long time, but it's hard to get this many figures and not get what you want.
I agree with that. I don't need a 7th repaint of the excellent ARC Trooper before, instead of a single, new relevant thing that I want of a main character. But that's just me. I like clones. I like the ARC Troopers. I just, 7 of them in a couple years.
Well, if you're looking at that one, they're doing Havoc, then maybe they shouldn't have done those weird colored ones and just done Havoc, Blitz, and Colt.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure we'll be nearing 20.
Whoever else there is,
soon, but.
Yeah, and someone mentioned earlier, like they didn't even include Havoc in PulseCon. Like they announced him like 4 days later.
Yeah. Weird, isn't it?
Okay. Guys, we've given him enough repaints. Let's keep that one for 4 days later. Repack.
And also the mortar trooper, the artillery trooper, he still hasn't been. He's going to be the same as what was it? Echo. I think it's Echo. The ARC Trooper Echo never got revealed from that wave. It's
just going to show up.
Just shows up.
Yeah,
be like, I found this. Neat.
I think Vicky from Hasbro and like last year's PulseCon was like a quick 2-second like, and we're also releasing him again, and then it like broke off to something else. It's like, wow, okay, I guess that's an
Delvian says it's starting to feel like the only way we'll get new sculpts is through a Haslab, and that's the depressing side of it, isn't it? It's like we want these things so badly that we'll almost be prepared to say
we'll front the money.
We'll front the money, and that is just like
it's pathetic.
A terrible thing to think of, isn't it? But like
exactly,
like
100%.
Because how else will we get more the figures that we want? Because they're just not gonna they're never gonna say, okay, we'll up the budget to 25 new Orly Tool figures. That they just won't do it, will they? So
they'll do it for Black Series.
Yeah.
Well, so whenever we propose and the Vintage Collection Facebook group has proposed this. Tim, you've proposed this. Bantha Skull's proposed this. We've all
talked about it together
for the Haslab figure, right? Yeah, and we get a lot of comments and feedback. All of us do that. Like, oh, the A New Hope, main cast, the heroes. Those don't belong in a Haslab pack. Those aren't dream figures. Those should be in mainline. And it's like. We don't disagree with you. The issue is it's not happening. So how can we make it happen? We're going to have to fork over the money ourselves, apparently, because they're not investing in the tooling.
And then it'll expand the tooling library for Hasbro so that they can have more figures to, release in the main line, to repack if they want, to make more money off of the money that we fronted them, and, have a wider tooling budget to make more creative things with the line, which is great, but also again that we had to front that if they
Yeah.
do it. So,
Yeah,
which
are they-
I'm not against. I will gladly pay to keep my hobby alive. But
Tim, not to guide the direction of the conversation, but since we're talking about Haslabs, what do you guys think of the fact that they didn't tease anything over the summer and they didn't reveal anything this past PulseCon for, a vintage collection Haslab? What are your thoughts on that, guys? Are you concerned? What are your thoughts?
John, do you want to go first? You go first, my friend.
Okay, sure. Yeah, and we asked them at the Q&As, we were really expecting something with this kind of rhythm of every 2 years, so to speak.
Right.
And of course they gave the whole canned, well, we can't speak to it and blah, blah, blah. And, it's something we're thinking about and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if because of the last two Black Series failures, they're worried just in general.
and plus the Marvel one is also not doing so hot.
No, it's not. It slid backwards about 1,000 backers since its high point.
Yeah, and with the economy and things going on, the cost of things, I mean, look, there's this He-Man playset going on that I don't remember from my childhood. Most of us didn't even know it existed, but $550 playset is like what? Where is it now? It's like 60 or 70% backed. So I'm worried that if they do come up with something, I hope it's not out of the reach of many collectors. And again, it seems like they're doing this 8,000 to 9,000 backer threshold, which is a lot more than I think 5,000 for the He-Man one. But anyways, I think they're really, and I do know that some people got hit up for market research.
Yep.
About Haslabs.
I've heard some rumblings about that as well. Yep.
Spoiler alert. So they're doing a lot more research with actual consumers to make sure they nail the next one.
Well, so one thing we just talked about in our podcast episode was that we hope the message that Hasbro is getting isn't that, the economy and inflation is in such a place where people are just completely unwilling to pay $350, $400, $500 for a Haslab. I don't think that's true. I think people are willing to fork out the money, but it has to be for things that people were asking for
and have the perceived value. Like you got to be able to see
value.
Where
there's
the money is.
Value, but there's also this nostalgic card some of them pull, like that playset. If it doesn't have nostalgic pull, I'm just going to say a Ghost. Let's say it's a $600 Ghost. Yeah. Are you going to get 8,000 people to back that?
Well, I will say it consistently pulls well.
Right. It pulls well.
Translate to actual backers. I don't know.
Right.
If they did the Ghost and no figures at all,
probably not.
No, it would fail. Like what would be the point?
I think
that's why you'd have to do the figure pack for the Rebels first.
I think the popularity of the Ghost will skyrocket once we see it in live action in Ahsoka. I think that'll really be the right time to do that.
Yeah.
That's what I think anyway.
Marry two Haslabs together, the Ghost and a figure dream pack, and maybe put one or two of them in with the Ghost as tiers. But
yeah, with alternate accessories, alternate heads or something. Yeah, dude.
but again, I think they're really just going back to the main part of this is they're I think under the microscope to make sure the next one fucking backs. Sorry, my language, but
that's why I was
sorry, go on.
Sorry, Tim. I was just going to say that's why I was kind of expecting TVC to get a reveal because, I mean, when you look at the numbers, we've backed 2 now, and this the second one we really backed the crap out of it. It was a huge success, and until Galactus came along, it was the most successful Haslab ever. So we're a dependable community. I mean, as long as they don't go with something wildly outlandish that nobody wants. Like, I think it's fairly certain that whatever you offer to Black Series or to Vintage Collection collectors, we're probably going to back it because we're so hungry and ravenous for stuff. So where's the offering? Where is it? Like,
I was just about to say what Evan said, that for me, that the value thing has got to be there. Like, some people disagree. I actually thought the initial offering of the Razor Crest, I thought that was okay. And then the extra bits that you got with it were like bonus.
yes.
All of
That's
this
what it's
stuff,
supposed to be.
like with the Rancor, the problem that they had with it is that it was too expensive for the initial offering.
Yep.
And then those extra bits were just almost like worthless. They didn't really enhance the value of it at all.
No.
They were giving a carded figure at Gamorrean Guard, which hit home with me more because I like the carded figures. Whereas Black Series, I don't know. Do Black Series? A lot of people may keep them in the box. I don't know, but I would suggest a lot of people that collect Black Series take them out and have them on a shelf and pose them and take photographs with them and all that kind of stuff. I don't think the card backs really matter so much. That is part of the charm of the TVC line. So when I saw that Gammo Guard, no matter the scale, I thought that looks cool.
Yeah, me too.
And I think they were trying to get TVC people in, to back it as well. But whatever they're going to do, if they ever do it, the price of the initial offering has to be worth the initial offering. And then when they start getting all these, we've hit 10,000, we'll give you this. If we hit 15,000, we'll give you this. It's because they're making more units and making more money that they're able to give you this stuff.
It's
Right.
to
Not
sweeten
just
the deal.
like a throw-in sort of thing. Like,
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's like, and we were talking about how it happened with the Rancor Haslab, and it's happening with the, what is it? The Car from Hell thing, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I don't know. Where they reveal it, but then they keep change as it sputters and struggles and people moan about it. They keep changing the rules to the point where it's like, are there rules to a Haslab anymore? They keep tinkering with the format of it. They keep caving to like certain whining that still, I have to, watching the most recent Haslabs over the past couple of years, I feel like not only have the collectors of these lines that are getting the Haslabs, but Hasbro themselves have lost the plot as to how a Haslab works, what a Haslab is. It's these tiers don't reveal them all. They're perks for once the initial thing is backed. They are stretch goals to sweeten the pot for those who committed to it because the base offering was worth the asking price. The rest is, as you said, they're making more units, so they're making more money off of it. They can afford to throw in a little bit more on the back end.
Well, it's funny because during the Riva lightsaber campaign, they came when they revealed it in the first place. They were like, "There's not going to be any tiers. There's not going to be there's not going to be any games this time. We're not playing any games, But they said that, and it was like, okay. And then it failed miserably, and now they're back to sort of negotiating with the I don't want to say the word because I don't want us to get flagged, but we don't negotiate with blank. But anyway,
they've just done the Razor Crest in Lego, haven't they? And I think it's like £520. And if you think about, I mean, I don't want to compare lines, but when you think about Lego, how many newly tooled pieces that aren't in other sets are in that Razor Crest? Much of that Razor Crest is going to be already there for them to just produce, isn't it? I would suggest, and it's still £520, 600 and something dollars or whatever it is. My Razor Crest was, I think it's $350, was it, or something? I'm not saying, it's probably still overpriced. Some people will probably say it's still overpriced. When you compare those two, I've got a Razor Crest that fits in with what I collect and everything. And
gorgeous piece of engineering.
The carded figures. Some of the things in it I think should have come with it anyway, like the carbonite blocks and all that.
I agree with that.
That should have come with it anyway. But the two carded figures, that is definitely for people that collect the vintage collection. A lot of them collect carded figures. That is a pretty sweet sweetener, if you like, to get more.
I totally agree with you, Tim. When the Razor Crest, the base offering was offered for $349.99, whatever, $350. I didn't blink because I was like, that's the price is justified here. But when you looked at the Rancor and the Engine of Vengeance, the base offering perceived value is not there. And so that's when those tiers that are supposed to just sweeten the deal are supposed to then help supplement and make the deal seem a little bit more,
but instead it was
value,
just like,
basically.
Yeah, those tiers were very obviously part of the base price, essentially, is what it feels like.
Well, they should have been, yeah.
There were people that felt that because it didn't have lights and sounds, it was not worth $350.
Well, I mean,
everyone's entitled to their opinion, aren't they? In my opinion, on that particular thing, I mean, it helps that it's the thing that I collect, isn't it? So, when I looked at the Rancor, I thought, but I did think to myself, are people going to want to pay that much for that? Like, where's the Rancor keeper? That should have just come with it. Like,
But instead, they had to pull the 11th
like tier
hour.
4 or something, wasn't it? In the end, or something like that.
No, it was like at the very end, like towards the end, when like the last 48 hours, they're just like, fine, you bullied us into it. We changed the deal. We're gonna put Malakili in as the base offering. You don't even need to unlock him.
Part of the base offering. That blew my mind.
But he's an all new tool.
Like, and it was close, right? Wasn't it like 500 off or 800?
Yeah, they were close. They were close.
They, the Razor Crest has so much detail and so many removable pieces and tool parts and everything. And then when you compare it to, and again, I don't know how much adding electronics, boosts the price, but when you look at, the car, the Engine of Vengeance, it's much smaller, much less detailed than the Crest for the same price. And then you look at Galactus, which was only $50 more, and that thing's huge, and like the fingers articulated, and it was gigantic. It had electronics. I mean, it's like, I know inflation's a thing, but like, geez, I don't see the value there. But anyway,
perceived value is just very important. Really is, and everyone has, like we've been saying, everyone has a different point of view on it. And
I've got to admit, I don't really follow the Haslabs that aren't. I followed the Rancor just out of interest, see what, especially when that Gamma Guard was. I was like, oh, okay, let's see what's involved with this. But
I almost got you, Tim.
I tell you, I did back the Sky Striker, but only at the very end when all of those O-ring figures were included. I thought I can't pass up on it, and I'd like the plane itself is pretty cool. I'm not a massive GI Joe collector, but I thought that was a sort of statement piece to sort of have, but as I say, only because of all the extra stuff that you got by the very end of it, because it did so well. Wasn't really, but in terms of that car, I don't even really know who the Ghost Rider is, if I'm honest. So,
well, I follow these Haslab projects just to compare them to the TVC ones. Basically, that's the only reason I follow them.
Yeah, of course, and that's all. That's the thing. Like, I think I said at the very beginning of this stream, like being in the UK when the Haslab idea was first announced, it wasn't available to us over here. So I could see this thing that I really wanted, the barge, and I just wasn't able to even decide whether I wanted to go for it or not, because it wasn't available to us. So I had to wait for Hasbro to put the final 400 of them or whatever it was on their eBay account and be like
crazy
on the dot, ready to get one of these things. Yeah. So there was no choice of whether I agree with the Haslab or not. It's just, that's how am I going to get one of these things? I would love one of these barges, but it's not open to us. Crazy. And then eventually it was with the Razor Crest. Brilliant. Thank God. If it's something I want, at least I've got the choice that I can get it. People in Australia and stuff still can't. They can't do that. So you got to feel for those guys as well.
Yeah.
It's a bizarre thing. It's like they're trying to get as many backers as they possibly can to get these things over the line, but they don't offer it to everyone in the world. So strange.
Yeah. And Chad Peak Obi-Wan had a comment about the 2 or 3 most successful Haslabs. All basically were linked to nostalgia. And I think if a ghost did, was chosen, I think it's what Tyler and I think Evan were saying, that if it shows up in Ahsoka and they're waiting for something like that, then that would help something like that even more so.
Well, you say nostalgia, John. Let's remember that Rebels is already almost 10 years old.
That's true. I take that back.
What was
I'm thinking like 80s nostalgia, but you're right.
What was it in the middle-aged Kiwi man video? He's like, I'm getting old. Make them.
Tuna skull.
I have money. Let me give you my money.
Did the Cookie Monster not give you nostalgia, John? No.
I'm sorry. What Cookie Monster?
I just want to comment. I think it's hysterical that they completely scrubbed the Cookie Monster from existence on the website, like it never happened. Like, because the Rancor failed, but it's still on the website. But Cookie Monster's like, that just never happened.
And Cookie Monster, I swear to God, please someone out there corroborate this. I'm not, I probably wasn't, high, but I swear maybe this was a fever dream. I saw it on television. It was on like Good Morning America or the Today's Show, that they had someone from Hasbro and someone from Sesame Workshop. They're like, and we made this Cookie Monster that everyone's gonna want to have. Like, nobody doesn't love Cookie Monster, buy it. And so that happened, and I can't find that. I haven't looked too hard because, again, fever dreams you don't really want to relive, but.
Didn't you say, like, on the show, someone commented, like, you're charging how much for this?
Yeah. Someone on, like, I think the interviewer was just like, oh, and how much is this?
Yikes. But
Phil the Four says, what new TV stuff will be out for Christmas? Maybe a wave of figures. So I think that wave with Andor, that is supposed to be this year, isn't it?
I think they say February, but that's one of those that I wouldn't be shocked if it were to be showing up in November, December.
I think really quick, Jason had a post about things that have arrived. Well, Tim has everything already, so
yeah, he's living in the future. So
no. Hang on, I do not have the droid, Antok Miric's droid. You guys have that.
Oh no, I don't have the repainted droid.
One us 36 Tim. Yeah,
literally though.
But I think Jason had a post that the Dark Trooper has arrived in the U.S. The Hoth Rebel Echo Base Trooper 4-pack, 2 other things that we're waiting. Oh, is it the rescue set?
Yeah,
and there's a 4th. I don't remember. Maybe he's still.
Was it the Obi-Wan Amazon? Did you already say that?
Maybe it was
the Obi-Wan Amazon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. That's something to look forward to, isn't it?
Real quick, peak Obi-Wan. Thank you. Good Morning America. It happened. Oh, I knew it.
I want to see that.
The internet doesn't forget.
Oh, man.
Oh, good stuff.
Yeah. We having fun yet, guys?
Always.
Yeah.
Give all the fun.
Let's end on a positive. What have you what's been your highlight of this year in terms of the things that we've got in the line? What do you think they've done well? Start with you, Tyler, if you want.
Sure. I commend them for a few things. Credit, like I said, credit where credit is due. They are, objectively increasing the budget.
Incrementally.
Yeah. I mean, we expected them to increase maybe by 1 sculpt per year, which would have been extremely slow. But in fact, they've done 3 new ones this year to add, compared to years past, 12 versus 9 in years past. So first of all, I commend the gradual incremental increase in the budget, which is what we've asked them to do. I hope they continue to do that. I hope there's 3 more next year. I hope it's 16 new sculpts next year. Who knows? But I appreciate that. I appreciate that they've kept the vintage collection around and kept the packaging. A few months ago, we were really riding high on that announcement, and I don't want to lose sight of that. I don't want them to just think that we're a bunch of whiners and we're never happy. Like, if they're watching this stream, thank you for keeping the vintage collection the way it is. And, we're very happy about that. And I know we complain about a lot of things. We complain about repaints. We complain. we complain about the things that we don't want, blah blah blah, or that we're not getting. But we should be thankful that the line is still around, and I am thankful that the line is still around. And I also appreciate that they're adding new expressions, between the trooper packs, the deluxe figures, and potentially a new expression. Well, so another new expression is the throne room sized, things that they're potentially going to be offering on Pulse now. The throne room is the first of which, and maybe we'll see more of that. But then finally, we're getting the speeder bike, so we're getting a small vehicle back in the line. And maybe that's a sign of more things like that to come. So they are adding more new expressions to the line. I welcome that. I encourage that, and I appreciate that. So that's good. But somebody else can take it.
Yeah, you almost needed Evan to chime in there and go, thank you for keeping 3.75 alive.
Yes. And that's it for this week now. Well, if I may jump in just to be on that, I commend Hasbro for, the 3 Obi-Wan figures from the show, new sculpts, amazing friggin' action figure. Amazing. I mean, I have not been happier as a TVC collector than I was getting Vader, Reva, and Obi-Wan in hand, a week or two after the show ended. And it was, still fresh, still front of mind. And the figures were just so damn good. I will give them credit for that. What?
Never better. The sculpts have, the quality is just like skyrocketing. It's incredible.
Yeah. And, I've been very glib, including in our podcast earlier today and doing this, of course I've been glib and coming off as aggressive, and instead of happy beeps, petty screams and all that fun stuff. The whole TVC is having all the fun thing has been a fun running joke since I don't know who said that, and it originated somewhere. Obviously we're not having all the fun, but life is what you make it. And we're making it fun together, getting to be able to sit around and chat about stuff with you guys and all the folks in the comments, being able to engage on it. That's what's fun about it for me is finding things to be happy about, finding things to be excited about. And, of course, always have an eye towards the future, but sometimes it's good to have a little perspective and just enjoy what you can while you can, because who knows what's going to happen tomorrow anymore. So.
Yeah, right on.
What about you, John?
Yeah, I think for me, it's a lot of the similar things both Tyler and Evan said. The quality and the engineering is just getting better and better, and the likenesses are absolutely amazing. We got this guy who we've been wanting forever. We need to be able to buy more of them.
Yes, fan channel, please.
And I know from what Tim has told me in our prior the 20,000 member celebration, that even people out where you are didn't get enough of these. So
no.
But anyway, the sculpts are amazing between Darth Vader. We got a Bill Burr expression.
Yeah.
In the line, if you haven't checked out his new comedy special on Netflix, it's absolutely hilarious. But yeah, I would just go with that. The sculpting and engineering is absolutely amazing, and I'd love more of it, but I'm happy for what we've gotten so far. And I look forward to that Jabba's playset and those types of offerings. So yeah, pretty much that.
Yeah, I'm the same as you guys. I think the standout thing is the overall quality of the figures has definitely improved this year. Especially, for the new media, which is why it frustrates me when we don't get more of those, compared to the 6-inch line. But the ones that we have been getting are really, really good. And also I'd say that I think when it comes to repaints and stuff, the ones I have been choosing, I'm reasonably happy with them. I think in years gone by, they've maybe not done that so well. So, it's easy to repaint a clone, isn't it? I mean, the ARC Troopers are pretty good. I think, as we said earlier, like, it would have been good to get the actual characters. They've just done Havoc. that would have been cool instead of that like lambent seeker guy or whatever. I feel, you know, because I think once they start using that one a lot more, people are going to be sort of cloned out with that particular, that particular ARC trooper. And maybe they should have done the named characters from the Clone Wars first. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, you know, it's difficult, isn't it? Because we say we want more, but then it's like if there is more, it's like your wallet is going to be hit hard, isn't it? That's the other thing. But I think it's just about the balance of, you know, and when they say, oh, but we you know focus more on they don't. That's not right. You know,
it's a lie.
We've proved, especially in John's little thing there, that isn't actually true. What we are getting a lot of is Mandalorian, judging by that chart.
Yeah, and really quick, Tim, you know, when you guys, the SWTVC guys, interviewed them at Celebration, Patrick said they didn't want to flood the pegs. And 100 whatever, if we take out the Haslab stuff, I don't know, 100 figures. It's a lot, but is it the balance that we really want?
Well, it's like a monkey's paw thing where we say we need to specify what we say we want more of. You know, we want more newness. We want more, you know, relevant stuff. We want more definitive modern things. You can say more and they could be like, sure, have this Leia from 2006. Ha. So
right.
Not exactly what we meant.
Yeah, it's like, well, I guess, yeah, you got us there. We didn't specify.
But yeah, it's a slippery slope, Tim. Definitely agree. I'm willing to spend my money if that perceived value again is there. So.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it's, you know, when they give you one of these repaints exclusive and it's $16.99 compared to $14.99 newly tooled Obi-Wan or whatever, you're like, what? You know, what's that all about?
For a protocol droid, yeah.
Or
Astro, yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Hey, Tim, I didn't say it. We've been talking for an hour or so, and I didn't say congrats on the 150 episodes, man.
Yeah, cheers, buddy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, crack one open. I think I've seen maybe 140 of your episodes. Got to go back and watch them all in chronological order so I can get the full picture of who Bossk's bounty is. So,
that's 3 years I've been doing these now.
Hell yeah,
and,
man.
I'll keep doing them. People, you know, it's good. I enjoy it. It's just it's a good way of, like, when you're on YouTube, you're often like talking to space.
Yeah.
And then people will comment, but this one, it really gets like people involved, give their opinions, questions, and what have you.
Yeah.
So I've always enjoyed doing that one.
Well, thank you for doing it, man. This is rad. I love that you do this stuff. So it keeps it exciting. Like I said, it keeps the TVC collectors having fun.
Oh, somebody mentioned, yes on all of that. Someone mentioned the bubbles. That's another thing we're thankful and happy for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got blisters and bubbles.
Yeah, that could have gone the wrong way. Look at those Dungeons and Dragons figures.
We were very close to an so I'm glad that didn't happen.
I'm really going to be curious going forward over the next couple of years to see how this impacts, you know, the Black Series.
Yeah.
Shout out to Bill.
There's definitely people that are going to. That's actually when we were talking earlier. I'm not sure if you guys were on at that point, but might have been something to do with what Sean Solar, you know, when I asked him, like, you know, why he thinks Black Series is dead, and that is another one of the things, isn't it, that's going to turn people away, because there are a certain amount of people that collect that line that keep them in the box.
Yep.
And if it's just like a picture, then that's just sort of defeating the whole object of it, isn't it? So
that plus the price, figure. And also
and the price, the price.
$27.99 for a repacked Jawa, exclusive to Target.
That's probably part of the reason the price is also going up, because they're going to lose people, and they got to keep making that margin.
And the third thing is what somebody, you know, commented on with the sweaty, waxy.
We didn't talk about that.
Oh my gosh, the quality in TBS is.
Yeah. I don't need any selfie series figures. All of them look sweaty and out of shape like I do. So
The meat sweats, baby. They all got the meat sweats.
they've all got poor diets.
Meat sweats.
Shvetty balls.
I think somebody asked, I don't know if it is in my one, but somebody said, can we see the selfie series coming to the vintage or like 3.75? And I'm like, no, don't.
Yes.
Someone said
Don't
that
do
in
it.
the session I was in too. And
Was it your?
it might have
your
been.
one?
Yeah, there was.
I think
there
I
was
was
a couple-
watching your one. Yeah, I was like, don't say it. Don't do it.
I never went back and rewatched the video version of ours, so apologies to anyone out there at all in the world where they involved or something, just a casual viewer. And if I made any weird faces at anything, because I kept forgetting that I was running late for work that day to do that, so I kept forgetting it was on video. And there's plenty of times I feel like I was just zoning out and going like,
Tim, he had some good reactions, some body. Some what do you call it? Some body mannerisms that were like, oh boy, Tim's upset at this guy. Tim wants to roll his eyes, but he's just rolling his eye with his whole body.
Well,
What made me laugh about that though, right, was that Chris thought his camera was working the whole time and it
That's
wasn't.
the second time he's done that. We were on a live stream once with a meeting with them. I was like, bro, why didn't you turn your camera on? He's like, my camera wasn't on. But probably I thought really quick. I thought he didn't have it on, so he could like it'd be easier just to freaking stick it to them with some really tough questions.
Yeah, I did wonder. I mean, yeah, I did wonder why he didn't.
Well,
he claims it is a mistake.
Maybe he was in bed, like somebody from a certain website. Just saying. But anyway,
I didn't see that.
I didn't hear about this. What's going on?
I don't want to throw out any names, but someone from a formerly prominent website was in bed during the Q&A. It was kind of strange, but
I thought
anyway.
about that. I should have stayed in bed.
But yeah, Tim, and we'd love to talk about, at some point, maybe the next one or something, about future thoughts and wants for the line too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we will do. Yeah, we've got there's a fair bit to be looking forward to next year. 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi. If you're an OT fan, what we want to see is some of the new stuff that they're going to be hopefully doing for the Return of the Jedi. I can think of some Jabba's goons that we don't have yet, which we would all love.
Yeah, there's a certain guy to vote for, right?
Yeah,
hashtag for that.
One with no sleeves, maybe.
So I keep my fingers crossed and hope that we're going to be getting some good stuff for that.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of Book of Boba Fett stuff pipelined, haven't we? So
a lot.
Well, we had a
Tusken Warrior.
Yeah, and before that we had Paz Vizsla. The picture was from the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say, dude, Black Series is the one getting their third Cad Bane, and
wasn't Cad Bane? Has Cad Bane not been pipelined?
No,
all right.
For Black Series, yes.
You've got to think that Cad Bane and you've got to think Cad Bane and Chrysanthemum will be coming surely. Like
those are the two I want, and they pipelined the Tusken Warrior, and I'm like, okay, it doesn't really do much. I know, Tim, you were super excited about it.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool.
I get it. Yeah. She's a cool character. I'm sure the figure will be fantastic. But when you look at okay, but what does she interact with? It's like crickets. I mean, you'll get the boba if you buy the slave one
$200
for $200. But other than that, it's like, what does this interact with?
And they got an amazing Cobb Vanth.
Mm-hmm.
That we don't have.
Where's Cobb Vanth, dude?
And he gets to tell people, he's the one around there that gets to tell people what to do. And don't we all want to do that?
Toys of the Way, Squidhead, Velkin, and Barada. I'd love it if they did those. That'd be awesome.
We're seriously going to live in a world where we get Velkin Taziri before we get Ben Kenobi, aren't we?
I had saved this for that comment. So
I said Ben Kenobi.
oh,
Yeah. See, I learned I shut up. I don't talk about certain things anymore.
see, I hear Ben, and you saying Ben. I just think of the other name.
Bring me Ben's, Hasbro. I need Ben's. Give me Ben Kenobi.
Ben Quadranero?
Ben Kenobi, etc.
My bad.
It's all good. I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know of what you speak. So I wouldn't bring such heresy into this chat.
I'd buy him.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, I
Ben
think
Lab.
that's
Lab.
I think we'll
Ben Lab.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I think we'll end on that.
Yes.
Evan.
Yes. You're welcome.
Oh dear. Right then, guys. Cheers for coming along to help me commemorate 150 episodes. So
Thanks
I do
for having
appreciate
us.
it. I
Congratulations.
could have done the whole 2 hours or whatever it's been by myself. So I appreciate you coming along for a chat so we can moan about all the things that we love. Sounds
We're
weird, doesn't
having
it?
fun, Tim. Remember, it's fun.
And I appreciate everybody in the chat as well for turning up. Really do appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. And yeah, we have been going nearly 2.5 hours now, so we are going to go. But yeah, cheers, Tyler. Tyler and Evan, do you just want to tell the viewers where they can find you if they don't already know?
Yeah. You can find us on Instagram at SWTVC or wherever you get your podcasts, including here on YouTube at SWTVC as well.
Yep. And then our individual Instagram handles are down there. So
There you go. And John?
Yeah, as you noted, Tim, Star Wars, the Vintage Collection Facebook group, and at the Far Side of Endor on Instagram. An honor to be on with all of you guys for the 150th episode. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. And yeah, just to say one more time, thank you, everyone in the chat. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it. And yeah, we'll say goodbye. And I'll talk to you guys in a second after, just for a few minutes before we say goodbye. But thanks everyone for tuning in. And we'll see you on the next video.
Yeah, 260 people. Awesome.
take care, guys.